Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the library and Friday Night Ghost Stories. So let's get the show on the road. We have a trip to Michigan in store for this evening. And of course, we have some paranormal videos we will get to at the end. Let's do this. All right. How are we doing this evening? Let's get to the show on the road, as we say. I expect there'll be less folks here tonight, which is fine because of the odd time and because of the Tyson fight. So I'm anticipating less people, but I could be wrong. But be that as it may, we will carry on. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me. As you can see, Lenny is here, Victor is here, and we have our candles. So we are good to go. Let's see, which one are we doing here? There we go. We got to light these bad boys. But before I do that, let me say hello to those that are presently here. Hello, Maureen. Hello, Gerard. James Simpson from across the pond. I see Tommy Stiggs. I see Paul Lee Donuts. I see Maureen is here. I see Krumel. I see Delilah in the house. I see Cranky is here. Gianni, of course, is here. Dean Do, my brother, is in the house. Tony the Night Owl is ready to go. Who else here? Who else am I missing here? Anyway, what am I doing here? I don't know what happened to my chat. My chat's gone. I lost my chat. How did that happen? That is bizarre. There we go. There it comes. Well, I got it back. All right. Well, anyway, thank you all for being here. 13 people is great for an odd time and with a major sporting event going on. So I appreciate everybody stopping by and spending a little time. So let's start by doing our lighting of the candles, of course. And then we will jump right in. And like I say every week, these paranormal videos are getting harder and harder to find. Now, there's plenty online, but I look for ones that at least are questionable, There's so many that are full of it. They're just obviously fake. So I don't even bother or waste your time with those. So it takes me a little bit to find these All righty. So today we're going to talk about Michigan, the state of Michigan. Now, I've got 3 interesting stories to tell you, which I hope you will enjoy. Lenny thinks they're pretty interesting. I test out all my stories on Lenny ahead of time, and they get his seal of approval. So let's see how you guys like them. Let's see. Dean Do, my friend. Okay, yeah, no, I knew you were here. Okay, what am I doing? All right, I'm gonna have to send you that ghost video, Gianni. Anytime, my friend. Anytime you want to send it to me, please do. All right, so let's start off with our first story, which is the haunting of the Michigan Bell telephone building. Now that sounds kind of weird, right? Michigan Bell telephone building. I mean, it's a place of business, right? But people say it's haunted. Now, the story behind this is a little interesting because it's not the actual building itself. Nothing happened in the actual building itself that caused this haunting. It happened before the building was built, and this building was put on top of the site where the bad things happened, right? Kind of makes sense, right? So let's start off by showing you what the actual building looks like first, so you get a good idea of what we're talking about here. All right, let's see. What are we doing here? Okay, here we go. This is what the building looks like today. This is the Michigan. Well, this shot is from the 70s, 1970s, but it basically looks the same. It's an oldly constructed brick and mortar, hard, classical turn of the century architecture for a city. And this is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And this is the home of Michigan Bell Telephone. Now, this building is said to have ghostly activity. But before this building was built in 1924. But what was there beforehand is what really causes the stir here. So that's what it looks like now. It's kind of a creepy building when you think about it. Kind of reminds me of the Ghostbusters building a little bit. You know, that old structure, old architecture that you'd find in any city in the turn of the 20th century. Now, let me show you what was there beforehand. Before that was built in 1924, there was a mansion there, a mansion called what was it called? Forgot what it was called. I didn't write it down. But anyway, it was a mansion, the Judd White Mansion. That's what it was called, the Judd White Mansion. So let me show you what that looked like before it got knocked down, because that's where all the stuff happens. All right. This is what the Judd White Mansion looked like before it was demolished. And the Bell building was built. Now, this mansion right here was on the site, and it was occupied by a couple by the name of Warren. There we go. It was occupied by Randall and Virginia Warren. Now, Randall was an employee of the railroad, and in addition to working for the railroad, he and his wife were caretakers of this mansion. It had been whoever had owned the mansion prior to that, I guess, either had died or moved on or what have you. And they were able to stay here with a very low rent and maintain the building, maintain the grounds. That was their job, in addition to being in the railroad, in addition to him, Randall, being on the railroad. Warren Randall. I'm sorry. So I had that backwards. It was Warren Randall and Virginia Randall. Randall's the last name. So this is taking place around the turn of the 20th century. They're living here. He's working for the railroad. And by all accounts, they had a beautiful relationship. They were very kind and happy, and a happy couple. They were childless, but they were happy. Now, something happens around 1908, I believe. 1908. There is a tragic accident on the railroad which involves Warren, which involves Warren. And in the process of that, in the course of that accident, he loses one of his legs. And as a result, he has a peg leg, as you would really think of. Traditionally, you would think of like a pirate, the classic picture of a pirate walking around hobbling on one peg leg. That's what he ends up having to have at the time. They had to amputate his leg, and they replaced it with that. Now, Warren did not deal with this very well. In fact, he took it tremendously bad. In fact, it destroyed his self-esteem to the point that he began to suspect that his wife, Virginia, was cheating on him because he considered himself half a man because he only had one leg. Now, this was not true. Virginia was not cheating on him or having affairs, but he believed that she was. And things got so bad that there was constant calls of the Grand Rapids police going to the home for domestic violence issues. Now, think about the time period, how rare that was. This was the turn of the 20th century. And it must have been pretty bad for there to be domestic violence calls, police visits there. That wasn't something that was common back then. A lot of these things happened, but they were kind of kept quiet. Not that was right. It certainly wasn't, but it was kind of kept quiet. It was kept as a family thing, and the police weren't really involved. So this must have been pretty bad for the police to have documented records of this disputes between this husband and wife. And in fact, there's one account of when the police had to go there and found him chasing his wife around with a razor in his hand. So, needless to say, things were very bad. And it got to the point where Virginia leaves him and abandons him, says, "I'm done with this." Well, Randall was Warren. Why do I keep mixing up Warren and Randall? Because they're both weird names. Warren, Randall. It's just like both of them are. It should be the opposite, right? You would think Randall, Warren. Anyway, Warren begs his wife to stay and begins to stalk her, basically. If that was a term, they didn't have a term back then. But he was able to convince her to at least come back and go on a ride, on a buggy ride in the local park with him. So she agrees finally to attend this buggy ride with him. And they go about this. And in the course of this, he convinces her to come back to the mansion where he had stayed. She had left, and he was still there caretaking the property. Well, something happened pretty bad. Some type of argument happened that was pretty significantly bad while after the buggy dropped them off at the mansion, because as a result of this, that same razor that originally the police found, he ended up pulling out and killing his wife, Virginia, and then taking that same razor and taking it through his own throat. So you had a murder-suicide in 1910 happening at the site. And because of that murder-suicide, they decided to demolish this mansion and sell the land. And that's when the telephone company purchased the land and decided to build the building in 1924. And that brought us to what the building looks like now, which is the actual Michigan Bell Telephone Company. So that's the backstory. Now, to this day, people still say, and many people who work in the building will tell you, that there are many encounters with the spirits of either Warren or Virginia. Now, many times people will encounter the noise of a peg leg coming along the hallway when it's late in the day, and it like knocks as if someone was walking with a peg leg. They'll hear that through the halls of this building. Some will have said that they've seen lights going on and off at various times without any explanation, and that the electricity of the building has been checked many times, and there's no explanation as to why the lights go on and off on their own. And then finally, some people actually hear the begging and crying of Virginia, begging her husband not to kill her, over and over and over again, echoing through the halls at odd times. So very, very creepy stuff, a very tragic story that ended up with the Bell Telephone Company, the Michigan Bell Telephone Company building, having this. I don't know if it's residual, probably is residual haunting, because I've never heard none of the stories talk about interacting with the ghosts, just these hearing these things and seeing these things happen. So, poor Virginia Randall, murdered by her husband Warren in the mansion that predated the Bell, Michigan Telephone Company. So, quite a creepy story there. The thumping of the wooden leg would prevent me from working late in that building. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, so that's our first story, the Michigan Bell Telephone Company and the ghosts of Warren and Virginia Randall, the first documented murder-suicide in Michigan. All right, so that's number one. Now, let's move on to story number two. And before I do that, let me say hello to those that have come in, because I see we got some new people here, or some people have joined that weren't here before. Hello to Suzanne. Good to see you. Marta Fowler. Good to see you. Deborah Roberts. Great to see you. Slimity Cricket. Great to see you. All my friends are here. This is great. All right. I don't know if I don't think I missed anyone. I think I got everybody. If somebody snuck in and I don't see them, please accept my apologies. All right. Now let's go on to story number two. Now, the next story takes place in South Manitou Island in Michigan. Now, where's South Manitou Island? Well, it's in one of the lakes, obviously. So let's show you what South Manitou Island is, because it's called the most haunted island, the most haunted island in the Midwest. Now, here we go. Here's what Manitou Island looks like. I'll put it on full screen for a second there so you can take a good look at it. And this is a map outlining the various parts of the island. And there's primarily three areas that are where most of the hauntings happen. And I'll go through them one at a time. But this is what the island looks like. And there's two of them. There's north and south. But the south is the south. The southern island, the South Manitou Island, is the one that has the haunted activity. All right. Now, let's see. The first part of the haunted sites on this island is the shipwrecks. Now, over the years, there have been, since the 1800s, believe it or not, since 1835, it's been a long time, since 1835, there have been over 50 shipwrecks off the coast of South Manitou Island. That's fascinating to me, but it's the nature of the Great Lakes, I guess, in winter. So of these wrecks are there. There's wrecks at the bottom, and there's wrecks. There's some that are even sticking up on the ground, and I'll show you one of them right now. One of these, if you just look at it, it's creepy. Just looking at the ship itself is creepy enough. And it just sits there off the coast. This is a steamer that wrecked here, and this is what's left of it. Some of it, as you can see, has corroded and gone away, but this is what, I think this was the Victoria. I think it was called the Victoria. But it's one of the 50 known shipwrecks. And there's so many of these off the coast and in the deeper waters that people recreationally will scuba dive and explore these wreckages. And in the course of doing so, they will actually encounter underwater ghostly activity, which to me is fascinating. I didn't think that was even something that happened, but there are accounts of this happening. So, what is the ghostly activity, you might ask? Well, some people say that they see apparitions underwater flowing through, much like on land, I guess, flowing through the wreckages. And many people have said that they've heard the wails and cryings of like moaning of lost souls in these wreckages when they're underwater in their scuba gear. So I don't know anything about scuba diving. It's something that I would never do or have no interest in doing. But I understand you can hear sounds under that in that, even with your equipment on. So I guess it's plausible that some of these ghostly spirits are heard there haunting these wreckages. Yeah, so that's the first one, is the wreckages and the spirits that haunt the wrecks off the coast. Now, the second part of this, the second area, I guess, in question is along the beach, the beach area and the dock area. And it is said that this beach area is haunted by the spirit of someone they call the Faithful Lady. And the Faithful Lady is, again, a common legend in different forms. You hear it in time and time again. This particular one is a woman that walks up and down the beach, the spirit of a woman who walks up and down the beach and onto the dock, carrying a lantern every night. Every night out there waiting and waiting and waiting for her lost love who went out to sea and never returned. Now, this particular woman is said to have been someone who spent her entire life doing this. And then when she finally passed away as an old woman, she continues on but only in her younger form. So imagine this, a girl in her 20s in the 1800s, losing her love, her betrothed, who never returns from a fishing trip. And every night she commits to going out there and waving the lantern, hoping that he will return. It's a sorrowful, sad tale. And so much so that she never marries anyone and does this for the rest of her days, and then eventually dies, and then her spirit carries on after she's gone. So no one has ever had any interactions with her, only they see her in the distance. They see the light walking along, an unexplained light walking along the beach at night and going up the dock. Many people have seen that happen. Some people have even seen the apparition of herself, the full apparition, and they say she's always in finely dressed clothes, because the woman used to go every evening. She would dress herself in her finest clothes and go out there in hopes that he would come back and that she would meet him in her finest dresses. So another sad tale of lost love and someone who can't move on, so the spirit remains. All right. Now, the third part of Manitou Island's ghosts, it has to do with the lighthouse. If you have a lighthouse, you got to have a ghost, right? That's what I always say. So that doesn't surprise me. But this particular lighthouse, the ghost is the ghost of the light keeper, the lighthouse keeper, his wife, and their infant child. Another tragic story. So tonight's a lot of tragic stories. This begins in 1878. And the lighthouse keeper then was Aaron Sheridan and his wife Julia, and they had an infant son at the time. And they had more than just an infant son. They had 6 kids, I believe, but they had an infant son. Now it's 1878, and they're on the island alone, especially in the winter months, because no one comes there, and they're there tending to the lighthouse. Someone has to tend the lighthouse, so that's what they're doing. Well, unfortunately, the newborn, or the baby, becomes ill, and they have to get him to the mainland. So Aaron, Julia, and the child get into the rowboat and make way from Manitou Island in an attempt to get to the mainland and get medical attention for their poor child or for their poor infant boy. As they do this, unfortunately, a storm picks up and capsizes them in the lake, and they perish in the cold water, all three of them. And as a result of that, their spirits never really rested, were never really found. The bodies were taken by the lake. So as a result, they tend to haunt the lighthouse in which they lived. And some of the things they see, people see, or they hear voices in the lighthouse. They hear voices of Aaron talking to his wife, and they hear the baby crying at times. They see doors slamming on and off in the lighthouse structure. And I do have a picture of the lighthouse. Let me show you that while I'm talking here. All right. Lighthouse. Let's go. Where are we? There we go. This is what the lighthouse looks like today. You see, it's a complex of houses or structures here, but at the time it was just this structure right here. These additional houses were built on it over the years. So that was 1878 when this occurred. And so, and they hear footsteps. It is said that at night you can hear footsteps going up and down the tower of the lighthouse. And now it's all automated at this point. But prior to it being automated, it is said that at times the light would be lit on its own, inexplicably lit late at night, and the belief being that it is the lighthouse keeper carrying on his job in the afterlife, continuing to do it. So a haunted lighthouse, of course, can have a lighthouse that's not haunted, I always say. So that's where we are with that. Hello, Delilah. I don't know if I said hello to you, but hello to Delilah. Thank you for coming in. Oh, and then there's one other tale about this. So I told you there were three tales about Manitou Island. There's the fourth tale, which is in the mid 1800s, there was a cholera outbreak. And what they did was they took many people with cholera and they put them on a ship and they shipped them to Manitou Island to isolate them. Well, unfortunately, many of these people died on the ship itself. And when the ship comes ashore in Manitou Island, the crew is left with a bunch of dead bodies, a tremendous amount of dead bodies, and they decided to bury them and create a mass grave. And that's exactly what they did. They didn't have the time or the inclination, I guess, to make individual graves for these poor people that died. So they milled a mass grave. Now, it is said and thought that some of those people were not necessarily dead. In fact, because they were just in comas from the cholera. So they weren't yet dead, and they were, in essence, buried alive. With the lack of medical attention at the time, especially at that point, because they were just being sent to the island to die for lack of a better reason than just there to get them away from other people, to stop the cholera outbreak, that these ignorant sailors couldn't diagnose who was alive and who wasn't, and assumed they were all had died, and buried some people alive. And it's said that as a result of that, there's two cemeteries. There's one that's based on the mass grave, and then there's another cemetery that's based on people that had just died over the years on the island. So there's two cemeteries on the island. And it's said that the mass grave cemetery is the one where there's nightly ghostly activity for these tortured souls that probably some of which were buried alive. And it is said that there's wandering apparitions that are about that, orbs all over the place. So it's a virtual funhouse, I guess, of supernatural activity at times in that particular area of the mass grave. So Manitou Island is thus called the most haunted island in the Midwest. And I think it earns its reputation. It's got 4 ghostly stories to go along with it. All right, that's Manitou Island. All right. Now, let's go on to our final story, our final Michigan story, which is a place called the Most Haunted Road in Michigan, in the state of Michigan, and it's called 7 Gables Road. Now, 7 Gables Road is located in Dansville, Michigan. Now, let me show you something here. Now, there's nothing on this road anymore. There once were homes. They're not there anymore. And I'll tell you the stories of how they evolved, but let me show you what it looks like right now. Vincent Capici, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for stopping in. All right, here we go. This is what 7 Gables Road looks like. Not much there, right? It's not just a gate, just a red painted gate that warns people not to trespass and not go here. Now, the stories behind 7 Gables Road and why it's haunted start in the early 1800s. Around the turn of the 19th century, so, 1800, 1810, very early on, very, very early on, where this was just settled areas. Like it was just, it wasn't even a state. I don't know exactly when Michigan became a state, but it wasn't it wasn't part of the United States yet, right? Until it becomes a state. It was just a territory. So anyway, on this road, it is said that there was a cottage. And this cottage, let me get myself back on screen here. On this road, there was a cottage, and it was rumored that this cottage was inhabited by a witch. And it is said that of the people that living in the area, a lot of children in the villages around the area began to disappear. And many accused this woman, this witch, of taking these children. And it got to the point where the townspeople turned into an angry mob and got together and were going to deal with this issue of their lost children, and ended up attacking the home of this witch. And I say she's a witch because that's what the story goes. I don't know if she actually was a witch or not. But the town folks surround the cottage, trap her inside, and set fire to the cottage. And she ends up burning alive inside the cottage. Now, it's said that as she's perishing in the fire, many were taken aback by what they saw, which was a burst of light and flame as the flames took engulfed her. There was a burst of light and a screaming cry from her that said she curses anyone who comes near her home, that she would come back and curse anyone who came near her home. And you could not set foot on the land, basically. That's the nature of the curse, is that you could not set foot on the land. And this cottage was said to own all of the land around here. And that's the origin of where the trouble around, or the legends around, 7 Gables Road comes from, and why it's cornered off like this. And all you see, if you go down this deserted road, is this gate, this red painted gate that warns people not to attend, or not to come through, not to. Hello, Edwin. Good to see you, my friend. Mustang Mike, I think, is here. Good to see you, Mustang. Bobo, excellent to see you. All right. So, about 25 years after the witch's demise, a family decides to settle on the land and not heed the warnings or the curse of the witch. And this man and his family, it's a man, a wife, and 6 children. He builds himself a home on this property. Well, things start out okay, but tend to go the wrong way very quickly. And in fact, their livestock begin to die on them, and the well begins to dry up, and the crops begin to die. So everything is going wrong here. And in fact, the farmer himself begins to be taken over by madness to the point where um, his family becomes afraid of him, that he is acting very irrationally. And it gets to the point that one day he completely loses his mind and ends up murdering his wife and 6 children. Now, if that isn't bad enough, what he does is he hangs their bodies, each one on the 7 gables of the house. The house, as he built, it had 7 gables. And he hangs his wife and his 6 children, the dead bodies, on those gables before he takes his own life by going to a nearby tree and putting a noose around his own neck. So nothing but horrible death and misery becomes of those that set foot on this land due to this curse by this witch. Now, what does that bring us today? Now, as a result of this type of stuff, many people, you know, were afraid to even go anywhere near this place. Thus, the gate is set up, and no one is supposed to go in here. But that doesn't deter people from taking a dare and going off on this. And it's said that those that do trespass onto this land, the last person that leaves, so if it's a group of people that come onto the land, the last person that leaves will end up having horrible things happen, even death, as a result due to the witch's curse. So if you pass through there, you will be, as they say, besieged by evil. If you hear the witch's screams, that's the key. If you hear the witch's screams, because people say they hear them, you hear her screams of death, her agony, and her curse as she was burned alive. That means that you will end up dying not too long thereafter. You hear the actual scream. So, kind of an ominous legend and kind of scary type of deterrent to be in the area. You know, you wouldn't want to be around there if and take that risk. I wouldn't take that risk, that's for sure. And I tell you, if I went with a group of people, I certainly wouldn't be the last person getting out of there. But anyway, that's the third and final story of Michigan, the 7 Gables Road, the most haunted road in Michigan, where no one's allowed to go on it anyway. You can't bring, as you can see, you can't bring a car on there. The gate is taking it off, has cornered it off. So you have to go by foot if you want to go back there and look around. I don't know why you'd want to, but there you go. So those are your stories. You had the Michigan Bell Telephone Company. Let me get this off. Michigan Bell Telephone. You had South Manitou Island, and then you had 7 Gables Road, Michigan. So 3 very creepy and intimidating stories out of the state of Michigan. So I hope you enjoyed them. I don't know. I thought they were kind of interesting. And like I always say, there's tons and tons of ghost stories that are associated with each one of these states. I just try to take the ones that interest me and tell them, but there's plenty more. All right. Now, let's look at some paranormal videos. And like I said, they're not so great, but we'll see. We'll see what you think. All right. Let me see here. All right. What shall we do first? All right. All right. Let's see what we've got here. All righty here. All right. This one This one, let me put it on full screen. This one is taken from a dash cam, and it's late at night in New Mexico. And where is it? There we go. Late at night in New Mexico. And you'll see as the driver goes along here, you'll see something in the middle of the road that kind of appears and disappears. So let's take a look at it and you tell me what you think. It's kind of hard to see. So, as you can see, there's the dash cam and everything. Now, let's see if I can stop this. You can't really see it there yet, but there you go. Now, it looks like there's a person standing in the middle of the road. But as you'll see, it goes to the right, but it never fully makes it out of the road. It never really goes to this out of the road, and it vanishes, and it's gone, and it's gone. And it just shows you the clip is long enough that it shows you this over and over again, in case you missed it. But that's what it looks like. You know, to me, it looks like you got legs here, something running. But the creepy part about it is that it never gets it to the side of the road. It just vanishes. So there you have it. So I don't know. What do you think about that, guys? What do you think? It's gone. Roy says it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. I don't know. Like a goat. Interesting, Suzanne. A goat. Morrison kept his back to us the entire time. A snail? Bobo says it looks like a snail. Okay. Is it a bramble? I mean, like a bush? Like a bramble bush? Oh, you guys are talking. I'm sorry. You guys are talking about something else. Delilah and Tony are talking about something else. Yeah. So it just vanishes, right? It just vanishes. I don't know. There's definitely something there. If it was a person, it would have. I would have thought you would see it go to the side, or or it would have gotten hit by the vehicle eventually. If it went straight along the road, it would have gotten hit, and it didn't. So I don't know. So anyway, that's your first paranormal video. I don't have an explanation for it, so I don't know. All right, that's number one. Now let's go to the next. All right. Now this one's interesting. You know, and in the past we've had these videos where children in cribs get yanked around, and a lot of them are pretty convincing to me. A lot of them don't have an easy explanation. So this is an adult though, this one. And then we also had the one with the guy in the gym. I don't know if you remember that. The guy in the it was in a Spanish speaking gym, and he was thrown around in the gym. It was during COVID. He had a mask on. So, but this is in that same vein. So take a look at this and tell me what you think about this. This is a security guard, a woman security guard walking through a building at night. And this is what happens to her. It's picked up on the closed circuit TV, the surveillance cameras. So let's see what we've got here. All right. Now watch her. She's walking along at night, doing her rounds of the building. And you'll see what happens to her. She gets her ponytail yanked hard. And as you can see, there's no one there. That's going to show you it a couple of times. Now, what do you think here? Do you think she's just kicking her head back? You think this is a fraud? Or do you think she's actually getting yanked? Hello, Adam. I don't think I said hello to you. I don't know. And this was originally shown on Reddit, I believe. That's why Reddit showed up over there. But I don't know. It could be fake, right? It could be faked. Let's put them. Let's go backwards and see if that makes any difference. Let's see. Looks like she kind of loses her balance here. I don't know. I guess she could be acting. I don't know. Let's see. Look at it one more time here. It does look like the hair's kind of moved before her head yanks. So I don't know. Mustang says I work security on weekends in my late teens on an empty building. I was doing a tour and I heard laughter. I ran out of the building and didn't do another tour. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Mustang. I don't think I would do that either. I don't know, Cranky. I don't know. I don't know. You be the judge. I mean, I don't know if she's kicking her head back. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I don't know. I mean, she's a pretty good actor, I guess. I mean, if she's making this up, she's pretty good because she looks surprised. Like, what happened? And she's looking both ways, like walking away, doing her rounds, looking both ways, and then the yank happens, and it stops her. I don't know. Well, Gianni, if they're going to yeah, I mean she would have to be in on it. Yeah, if she's in on it, sure, absolutely. So it could be. Gerard says Mustang only work armed security. Suzanne thinks it could be a demon. Yeah, it could be. Sure. Yeah. I don't know. And I mean, like with many of these videos, it really comes down to whether most of them could, I guess most of them could be staged. If someone wanted to stage them, most of them could. I think there's a few that we've seen that I don't believe they're staged simply because, the circumstances are such that it would be too hard to. But hey, Dave, how are you? Dave Cameron, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Um, this one could be staged, sure, absolutely. So I don't know. I like as always, you got to make your own judgment to see if you think this is real or not. I think it's just interesting, this one. All right. So we're on the fence on that one. We'll see. Who knows? All right. Let's go to the next one here. All right. Okay, let's go back to here. What I do here. Here we go. All right. On to the next one. Just a couple more. Just a couple more. All right. This one's I don't know. Let's do this one next. All right. This is nothing really shocking in this one. This is a hospital. Now, I want you to look on the wall here. Look on the wall here, right? Now, there's nobody here. There isn't anyone here. There's no human beings anywhere over here between wall to wall. There's a wall over here and a wall over here, right? There's no one here. Now, watch the wall itself over here and tell me what you think. Where is it? Where am I doing? Here we go. Here we go. All right. There's a shadow, but there's nobody there. You know, the camera pans, so I guess you could see that there's no one there. But is it possible that a shadow could be cast beyond that wooden box there? You see the wooden box in the right-hand corner. Would it be, do you think it's possible that someone could be behind the wooden box and walking by? And would it cast the shadow that far? I guess it could, right? I don't know. Let's look at it again. I mean, it's something is casting if it's either somebody's casting a shadow or that is like a shadow creature or something. You know, I mean, like it's got to me, it looks like a shadow of someone, but I don't see how anyone could be in there. I mean, it goes back and forth. It goes one way and the other. It comes this way and then it goes back. So I don't know about that. Oh, Trock is here. I didn't even see him. Chris Trock is here. Good to see you, Chris. A car from the parking lot. I don't know. I don't have any information as to where this is in terms of whether this is on the second floor or on the first floor, anything like that. I don't know. That's a possibility. If there's something shining in the window here, you know, it could be a reflection. If this is on the first floor and then there's a parking lot or there's a car in that area, I don't know. You can't really tell what's on the outside of those windows. So Bobo says someone is in between the wall, in between the box and the wall. Like someone's behind the box, I guess. Like someone would have to be back here behind the box. All right, so there you have that one. That's not very big mystery there. You know, like not really a creepy type of thing at all. Just you know, just an odd type of occurrence without a clear explanation in front of your eyes. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's stop sharing that. All right, now this one I'm really interested in what you think about this one. All right, hold on. All right. Let's see. All right. Now, This is a security camera on a factory, or like a business, a factory business, whatever, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And it's a rainy night. And this truck is pulling out. This pickup truck is coming out of this parking lot here and going to make a turn or over here or whatever it does. But watch in the middle of the road and see what happens. She's wandering in the middle of the street and she vanishes. She goes into this cloud of like dust. I mean, this cloud of like rain and mist, and vanishes. She's not there. And she looks like a wandering, like like a wandering type of spirit. Like, what is she doing? Like, what is she doing? She doesn't know where she is, what she's doing, and then vanishes. Now, this guy in the truck, you can see he turns and looks here. Let me see if I can stop that. Let me go back. Now, I want you to see the guy in the truck. The guy in the truck definitely sees her, because watch what he does. He's coming along, right? And you'll see his head turn. Look at him. So you could see his hat. He's got a baseball hat on. He turns and looks down. Like, where is she? Like, where? He saw her there, and now she's not there. No, the truck does stop. Look at him. The truck. Look at the guy. Delilah, look at the guy. He turns his head and he's looking in this direction here. He's not looking at the street. He's looking right here, where she wandered into. You can't see him turning? Well, here we go. All right, now. There she goes. She vanishes. She vanishes. Now watch the guy. Oh, wait, they cut too quickly there. Hold on. She vanishes like, it's like, I don't know. It's like as if she's vanishing into water. Look at that, the way it's like as if she's like submerged in water. Look at that. And the mist of the water, hitting the pavement. But you could see the guy, you could see him turn his head. I don't know why it keeps cutting out like that. It's quite annoying. But there you go. You see him turning his head and looking where she is. He's turning like, what? There he is. He's like, what? His head turns this way, not at the street. He was looking at the street, but he turns this way as if he saw something. Now, either this is a camera glitch where she's actually still here and we just don't see her for some reason. I don't know. That could be it. I don't know. Like if this is a camera glitch, he still sees her walking across here, right? And we just don't see her because this mist or whatever engulfs her. It engulfs part of the tire too. You see, like the bottom of the tire here. So I don't know. Hey, Osada, good to see you, my friend. Mustang, you could watch them all night. I don't have that many. I'm sorry. I wish I had more. What's the side mirror? I don't understand that one. I don't understand. Hey, Baywatcher, good to see you. I don't understand that, Tony. What do you mean the side mirror? Yeah, this is the side mirror right here of the car, of the truck. But you can see his arm, right? His arm and his head, and here's his hat, and he turns and looks this way. I don't know. This is definitely the side mirror of the truck, without a doubt. That's not him hanging out. That's not his arm hanging out or anything. No, that's the mirror. So I don't know. It's just she's wandering about, right? She had that like wandering look on her face, and it's kind of her head is like she's like, what's going on? Look at her. She's like, what is going on? What is going on here? Now, the only story that goes around this is that there have been a number of fatalities in this area for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's a high fatality area, but that was the background story to this, is that this could have been someone that was killed in a car crash around here. But I don't know. The black thing out of the window is just the rear view. It's the side view mirror, Suzanne. I don't. That's all that is. This is just the side view mirror of the truck. I don't know why it's black like that. I don't know. Maybe it's broken or something. I really don't know why it looks like that. But that's definitely the mirror. But anyway, it's quite intriguing to see this happen. You know, see that how she vaporizes as she goes over here. So, all right, now let's go on to my last one. My last one is very short. So, you'll see it. You'll see it. It's very short. Here we go. All right, here we go. Now, this is in a building. No, I think it's a building. Well, it's at night. Let's put it this way. It's at night and it's a security camera in a building. And I don't know what the building is, but here we go. You see this right here? It's very, very short. So I'm gonna have to play it multiple times. Here, okay. It's a hotel build. That's what it is. It's a hotel building. It's a hotel building. And this is a security camera in the hallway of the floor. And watch the spirit come out here. Now, that highlighting that you see with the light, that's not what happened in the original video. They just did that to describe for you to look at it. It's not, that supposedly did not happen. Like this lighting, like this glowing light, they did that just to show you that it had a body, a head, and like a headpiece, like a wedding. It's believed to be a spirit of a bride that died in the building in this hotel, and they believe that that's why it's highlighted to show the components of the apparition, that it's the body, the head, and the wedding, the headpiece or whatever the wedding veil. So I don't know. This one's really, really intriguing. This one. Hey, Patrick, good to see you. Janico, good to see you. Yeah, Delilah. The story backstory is that there was a bride that died in this hotel, and they believe this is her spirit that was caught on the security camera. And that's the only reason that they highlight it with that light so you could see the different components of it. But yeah, it wasn't glowing like that. The light parts weren't there. It was just a regular picture. But this one, I don't have an explanation for this one at all. I mean, what could that possibly be? That wouldn't be a reflection. I don't know. I don't know what that would be. It would have to be a spirit. What else could it be? It emerges from this door, from this hotel room door, and then just vanishes. Like there was no continuing feature there. Like there was no continuing film because nothing else happened. It just faded away. It just came to this point and faded away. There was no. It didn't move out into the hall. Didn't do anything like that. Just came to the doorway and then faded away. So this one to me, I don't have an explanation for it all. So this one, I think, is probably the most unsolved out of all of them. Like you can't. It's hard to come up with any type of reasonable explanation for it. So there you have it. There you have my wonderful ones. Hold on here. All right. Those are your paranormals. Those are your paranormal videos. All right. So there you had your Michigan stories and you had your paranormal videos. So I hope you enjoyed it. The Tyson fight is on. I mean, I know Tyson's not going to be fighting until later, but I'm sure a lot of people are watching that anyway. But we did hit 20, so that was pretty cool. We hit 20 people at one point, so I didn't expect to have that many people. But I do appreciate everybody checking things out this evening and stopping by for a little bit. And we'll see what next week brings. I don't have any ideas yet, but we'll look around and we'll see what next week will bring. And then we'll go from there. But as always, I thank each and every one of you for stopping by and giving me your feedback, especially on the videos. That's the fun part for me. I like telling stories, but I also like to hear your input on them. So thank you for hanging out and talking to me about them. And we'll do our ceremonial blowing out of the candles. And I will say, have a wonderful weekend and stay scared, and God bless.